But perhaps the most important thing is our engagement with communities. And that I feel extremely proud and privileged to have done. And it's not just myself, it's the whole UN system and all of my colleagues who have contributed. But I've thoroughly enjoyed my time. But also on things like with Capital Development Fund, trying to
Mr Trivedy, the United Nations resident coordinator in Papua New Guinea, has been acknowledged for his distinguished services in the country and his 4-year contract. Trivedy has been instrumental in strengthening the United Nations system in the country, especially with the 14 agencies.
And all of that has been done by the United Nations, not just by UN agencies. It's been done in partnership. And one of the things that I wanted to achieve was to make the United Nations the partner of choice for government, for others. So whenever governments or civil society or whoever was trying to do something difficult and sensitive, they would think, who would we work with? But immediately they would start to think, well, actually the UN system isn't bad to work with.
The promotion and implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals is one of the major achievements for Papua New Guinea. Not only that, but the country's homegrown sportsmen and women promoted as ambassadors.
We also launched something which I feel very, very excited about, which is the work with the Business Council of Papua New Guinea. And for the first time ever in the world, we have businesses really taking part and showing how they are engaging with the Sustainable Development Goals and so on. And then there are some softer things that we did as well, which I feel very proud about. And those include things like working with the SDG ambassadors, the youth.
We can show clearly how our company performance is achieving the SDGs in line with what the government's expectations are, because the government will be achieving certain goals, and we as a company will achieve certain goals, and obviously continue to do that. But it's about finally recognizing it, and as a company, I don't think we know about it, but to be able to sort of compare notes with the government for the first time, I think that's quite important.
Policymakers need to have. But I am personally in favor of special measures to support more women, because that is the only way that we can get more women representing all of our society in Parliament.
Papua New Guinea's autonomous region of Bougainville is a testimonial to the temporary special measures which promotes women into politics.
Parliament can provide an avenue where women can come and express outrage in terms of the things that I want to happen.
To bring change in the Parliament, I feel that we have to talk about them. And when we talk about a facial woman.
I really believe in working together, working in partnership with men, and that's where I'm going to support to enter into politics.
Spirit of love.
I think it has set something up for also our national parliament to strive to achieve. I'm confident that Papua New Guinea will start to make some of those changes, but it does take everybody. It means all of us needing to work together to say, parliaments are good, particularly when they represent all of the people.
The United Nations has been working closely with the national government on legislations. Trivedy says good legislations is important, but the challenge remains with its implementation.
I think the 10th Parliament has a very, very important role to play in setting all these things up and making sure that the Sustainable Development Goals, the aspirations of our people really start to be realized. And then the 11th Parliament will need to continue that. If by the year 2025 we start to show that we are really pushing forward on these things, then I think Papua New Guinea will be ready to start to achieve also its 2050 vision. If, however, we slip back or we just continue to work at the pace we are, then I'm afraid that we will be left further behind compared to other countries. And so we have to work together to make sure, as Papua New Guineans and people who care about Papua New Guinea, that we all do the best. And there's lots of good things to build on, but there's also things that we all know that we need to improve.
It gives us that opportunity to be able to access opportunities in funding, technical assistance, towards meeting the Sustainable Development Goals that we've agreed to. I think there are 17 of that we've signed in.
The United Nations has been working closely with the public and private sector to improve lives. A good reflection is the conservation area in West Sepik.
Jim Thomas and the team there, they have worked with 50+ villages up in Lumi, and every single house in those 50 villages have their own pit latrine, a proper ventilated pit latrine. Every single house has been taught good sanitation practices, to wash hands and so on. And what has happened as a result of it is that the health indicators in that one area have started to improve massively. The attendance of children in school has improved because children are not getting diarrheal diseases and so on. It's helped nutrition levels to improve and so on. So these are small things which can lead to better outcomes. And governments, of course, have a role to play. But if you wait for government to provide all these services, then people will be waiting for a long time, because the fact is that in our country, only 10% or less of people actually pay taxes into the formal system. And the taxes are the way in which government can then provide services, because you use the revenue from tax to provide health, education, and so on.
His last public appearance was the joint supervisory body meeting between the government of Papua New Guinea and the autonomous Bougainville government, where the United Nations plays a critical role in the peace process of Bougainville.
As I said, I think the key now is delivery. And delivery must involve not just the ABG, it must also involve national government. And it's great to see also some of the Bougainvillean members of the national parliament, including, of course, our Minister for Bougainville Affairs, Father Simon, who plays a very important role in all of overseeing it. It's a really important, I think, next couple of years in Bougainville. And then beyond that, as I said, in the next 7 years, we will know the full outcome of whether the peace agreement has actually been implemented, whether other things have also happened.
Trivedy departed yesterday and hopes to visit Papua New Guinea soon for the love of the people and the country.
To see the colors of this country and so on. I'm also, really pleased to have met so many amazing people, across the country, doing incredible things. Look, I am hopeful that if Papua New Guinea starts to achieve, rather than 30% of its potential, starts to increase it to 50, 60, 70%, then I think the country will take off. But it is going to be challenging. It needs everybody pulling together. Don't just leave it to governments. Governments have a very important role to play, of course. And our political leaders, we need to manage the economy really well. We need to make sure our people we invest in our people, improve the quality of services and so on. And if we do those things, then I'm very hopeful that Papua New Guinea will achieve its 2050 vision.
Fabian Hakalits, National EMTV News.